everyone, are you well? So that is a fabric softener container that I'm going to make into a spaceship, but with a difference. I'm going to concentrate more on the painting side of things for this week's build and the reasons why I like dirty to clean. So if you're ready, sit back and let's start scratching that build. To start, this is an old alarm cover. No, not for the vertically challenged people. Let me try that again. That is an alarm cover for hobbits. Wow, it's a tough crowd tonight. Actually, it is an alarm cover, but for windows. That's why it's so small. Basically, I've been replacing the old ones with new ones, and instead of throwing the old ones away, I just threw them into my little greenery pile, and that cover is going onto the container. Next is this lid from something, which will bulk out the back, giving it the J-Lo posterior. 2 more lids are added to make the bottle look like a 2-bit Princess Leia cosplay spaceship. Come on guys, you're going to have to work with me on these bad jokes. That white stuff is baking powder, and if you think I'm going a bit overkill on the baking powder, I probably am, but there's a reason. I'm wanting the baking powder to congeal like it's rusty spots on the welds. To prove that you can make anything with the plastic you have in your house and you don't need expensive styrene, I'm using some cut down butter lids to make into panels. Using my pointy thing, I punch holes into one side of the lid to look like rivets and then just stick them on around the container. These plastic pipes will eventually become exhaust pipes. And before I get the comment that I've positioned them wrong, they're the correct way. This red thing is from an old battery pack that will just help bulk out the ship. The leftovers from 2 cheap water pistols are stuck on either side of the spaceship to give it a little shape and to make it look like it's its landing legs or something. To help bulk out the spaceship and to make it look more spaceshipy, various diodes from an old broken radio and the insides from the window alarm will get stuck randomly around the spaceship. So I've cut out quite a bit, but basically I used Hubba Bubba container, some plastic pipes, plastic bendy straws and wooden sticks just to bulk out the ship, and it's pretty much done. I think I'm going to give it a name and I'm going to call it Rusty. Now is the time for the sticky gems, which will become more rivets all around the ship. It took a while for the rivets to be put onto the ship, but eventually it looks like this and it's ready on for the priming. But before then, let's go to this week's code word, which is going to be baking powder. So if you're going to leave a comment, put that before the comment so I know you got here without falling asleep or zapping all the way to the glamour shots. Having covered the spaceship in a black rattle can primer, I'm now going to use a mixture of reddish brown, which is going to be the base coat for the spaceship, and that's going to act as the rust. I'm going to make sure that this gets covered completely, so I'll probably use around about 2-3 coats of this. Then I'm going to add some more super glue and just dab some more baking powder onto that. Doesn't matter because it's going to add to the texture. I want the paintwork and the body of the spaceship to look dirty and grimy and sort of lumpy. It all adds to the effect at the end. And I'm not even going to wipe away that stuff, I'm just going to leave it there, just spray everything down and then continue with the painting. So the model looks like something Tony Montana would rather sniff than fly, but that's all for the texture bit. So I'm just going to paint over that with a red Going to leave all them little dinks and scuffy bits because this is part of what I want this model to be, which is going to be basically something that somebody's flown for years, never washed it, a bit like my car actually, but he's going to put it for sale and it's just going to be down and dirty, and this is how I think a spaceship would look after years of neglect and flying in space basically. The eagle-eyed viewers will notice that I'm not actually spraying all the spaceship, I'm just spraying little parts of it. And that's because it's all to add to the texture, and it's going to look like it's been resprayed, repainted once, twice, 3 times in its lifetime. And I suppose this is the reason why I prefer weathering and dirty looking spaceships to clean and pristine spaceships, because it hides a multitude of sins. Now comes the fun part, cheap hairspray. Gonna need this, using the other half's hairspray, don't tell her, she'll never know. Carefully decant, which means spray into a little cup, and then you're going to use that hairspray, try not to get it on your fingers by the way, use that hairspray and you're going to spray it onto your model. Just one thing, try not to spill it like I did. Now I'm going to use the airbrush to spray it all over the model, but if you don't have one of these, just paint it on using a cheap brush, and then you're going to feel like Donald Trump's hairdresser after this part. Once all that's dry, on to the next colour. I'm just hitting spots that I want to have different colours on to the spaceship to make it look like it's been, like I said before, resprayed. And it's at this point you can start to see the texture from the leftover baking powder slowly coming through. Next, once everything's dry, I'll then hit it with green, but trying to leave some of the blue colour from the previous spray still showing. It's all part of the weathering technique, and this is how I do it. There's probably easier ways, but this is how I find I can do mine, and this is how I do it for most of my models. Now grab yourself a Q-tip and a tiny bit of water. You want to dip the Q-tip into the water and gently start rubbing. No, not like that, you weirdos. Rub the paint away, and as if by some David Blaine magic, you'll start to see the top layers of the paint come away, leaving you with the paint from the first spray, which will be the reddish brown colour. Now it's totally up to you how crazy you want to get with the distressed look on the spaceship. To quote the late great Bob Ross, we're toning down the colours to reveal the paint. I don't think he actually said that, but I just thought I'd say that. And I'm hoping that my audience is old enough to remember who Bob Ross was. It's going to take you a while to get the process right, but you slowly start to reveal the underneath, and all the edges start looking all grimy and dirty and weathered, which is the whole point of this build. Now probably a few of you are thinking this is a lot of work just to get the weathering, but again, it's entirely up to you. You can take away some of this process and you could probably find an easier way to do the process, which if you do, let me know so then I can just try it myself. But this is how I taught myself how to do weathering on spaceships. Once you're happy, put the cup of water to the side and the Q-tip, and then I'll just go over with a light spray of green just to tone things down and blend the rust into everything else. And that is basically how I weather a spaceship. So it's on to the glamour shots. So thanks for dropping by. I appreciate your continued support. If you like this, let me know in the comments. I've never been really confident enough to sort of do one of these because I don't think of myself as anything other than just an amateur that just likes to stick plastic together. So until that next time, keep scratching that build, everybody. Thanks for watching.